Hello, you. Happy Friday. Oh, this week has just flown by and I've been in the gorgeous Brisbane. Now, I had a very interesting conversation this week that has made me think. I love a good think. Oh, I love a good think. So I was talking to someone and we were talking about what the problem was that this person had. This is a person I've been working with for a while, and they couldn't kind of put their finger on the problem, right? So they're like, I've got this problem and I don't know what it is. And I'm like, okay, so if you did know, my favourite question when someone says, I don't know what it is, I go, if you did know, what would you say it is? And they said, well, I don't know. I'm just not feeling like included in things and I just don't feel part of things. And I'm like, okay, so what's that about? And when do you feel comfortable? And I said, do you feel like you have friends? And he said, oh, yeah, of course I've got friends. And I'm like, yeah, but do you feel understood by these friends? They said, what do you mean? I said, well, do they actually know that you're not feeling right now? Do they know that life's hard for you right now? And he's like, oh, shit, no, right? And I'm like, that's interesting. And I said, do you know what I think it is? I think you're lonely. And he said, oh, no, I'm not lonely. Because, like, I live with, my wife and my kids and I've got like a team of 18 at work, and I'm like, no, but do you get that lonely doesn't have to be being about being alone? And he said, hang on, say that again. I said, lonely doesn't mean you're alone. And he went, oh, shit. And then as I was talking to him, I'm like, I don't know about you, but I've felt lonely in a room full of people. So I felt lonely when I don't feel understood, or that anyone really understands me or gets what I'm trying to achieve or understands not necessarily my point of view, but just who I am and what I'm being. And I'm like, it's really nice to be surrounded by people who understand you. And I think it's vital. I think it's vital. I like the word vital. Vital sounds very bloody exciting, doesn't it? It's vital. I think it's vital. Because you might be married or in a relationship with someone, but they may not understand you. And especially if you're on a journey where you're growing and changing. So you suddenly, I don't know, I remember when I really got deeply into all my spiritual energy stuff, and Matt was like, what are you fucking on about? Like he was like, hang on, you're talking about all this new shit. And I'm like, yeah, because I've got new shit in my world. And he was like, oh, what does this mean? And I'm like, well, you don't have to be into it, but at least respect the fact that I'm learning something new or interested in something new, And he was like, oh, yeah, of course. And he's a bit scared of he's had a horrible kind of churchy fucking start to life where he's a bit nervous about any of those conversations because he's had a fear-based religious experience, which is totally understandable. So a lot of people, who obviously have come out of any sort of religious sort of space in their family get very nervous about, oh, if I believe this, I'm going to be a bad person, or if I don't believe that, or fucking yada, yada. But he was really good about the fact that I was in this new space where I was exploring concepts, and I had to say to him, I don't want to bring you on, I'm not an evangelist, I don't want to bring you on my bandwagon, but it would be nice if you were vaguely interested. So he would say shit like, I have just spiritual stuff going. And I'm like, oh, it's great, thank you. But it's interesting, isn't it? So I said to this guy, where in your life do you feel lonely or let's not use the word lonely, because he was like, lonely means I'm alone. I'm like, no, it doesn't. I think lonely can mean misunderstood. And I'm like, where are you misunderstood? So I was misunderstood in my family for a very long time because I was always I've always been too much, I've always been noisy, bossy, stroppy, busy, fucking over the top, messy. People, oh, you're too messy. Oh, you're too noisy. And I had a very, very conservative, very organised mother. So she was like, what the fuck is wrong with you, And I was like, oh, I just don't feel like I fit in. And I remember when I was young, when my parents went out, I used to look for my adoption papers because I was so convinced I was adopted. I was like, I'm going to look because I don't fucking fit in here. I feel misunderstood. So I've never really felt truly understood. And then I have a very eclectic group of friends. So I have some very spiritual kind of out the gate friends. I've got some very hippie, natural kind of woo-woo friends who, are into natural sort of modalities and really out the gate kind of stuff like in my home birth world. And then I've got some really high-powered business friends. And they're like, what the fuck are you doing in the home birth world? And in the home birth world are going, so what do? You run your own company. What the fuck? So, there's all this colliding of worlds. And I've always been very comfortable having a colliding of worlds. So I was talking to this guy and I said, what sort of person do you think, if you could imagine a person who walks in the door right now, that's the perfect person to understand you, what would they have to be about? What would they have to know or be or do or have so that they could be your person? And he's like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, do they have to be he's really into sport. I said, do they have to be a sporty person? And then, oh, I don't know. I'm like, because, you've got to know what you're looking for, right? It's very hard to find something if you don't know what it is. So it's like, what are you looking for? Are you looking for a sporty friend? Because if you were looking for a sporty friend, you'd probably go to a sports club or something sportish, right? If you're looking for a spiritual friend, you'd probably go to something spiritual. If you're looking for a musical friend, you might go to a concert, right? It's like people give you clues as to where they'll hang out. But I think one of the problems is we outgrow people in our lives. And I think that's extraordinary. Like if you haven't outgrown anyone, you're just not moving fast enough. And I think, who have you outgrown? Think about that in your life. Who have you outgrown? And who needs replacing? Like, actually, I need a new friend. I've got rid of old, bozo, so I'm going to move this person in or whatever. It's like, where do you need to replace? Where have you got a vacancy? And have you got a friend who, like I've got a lot of friends in lots of places, and quite often at the moment on this book tour, one of my favourite things, so next week I'm off to Invercargill at Queenstown, and I've got my beautiful friend Quinton who is travelling with me, and like that is just such a highlight for me, right? So when I'm there, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to Invercargill, yay, Quinton. When I was in Sydney, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to Sydney, yay, my friend Lizzie's there, and I get to catch up with Lizzie. So that's one of the benefits of my travelling is I love to catch up with people. And I think, where do you go in life where you don't have a person? Like, do you go, oh, well, I really want to go to the gym or I want to be fit, but I don't have any fit friends. Or I really want to go to a concert, but I don't have any musical friends. Or I really want to join a sports team, but I don't have any sports friends. So when you divide your life up into what are your interests, what are the things that you love, and then who are the people in those worlds? So I've got friends who, like what I call kind of child friends, like I've known since I was a child. Then I've got parenting friends, people I met with a kid. They were one of Ruby's friends' mothers, or they were one of Oscar's friends' mothers or fathers or something. So I met them through a kid. Then I've got business friends, because that's a big part of my life. Then I've got my spiritual friends. Then I've got my alternative, and some of them are different. So I've got very alternative out the gate friends. And then I've got spiritual friends, and they might be religious or spiritual, but they're really into talking about those sorts of conversations, and I love that. And then I've got very creative friends. Like I've got my friend Charlotte, who's a potter. And I love, her pottery friends. And it's like, what friends do you go to for what? Who's your friend if you want to have a really powerful conversation? Or who's your friend if you want to book a weekend of fun? Or who's your friend if, I don't know, maybe you want to go and get pissed? I don't get pissed anymore. It's not my thing. But, maybe you go, who's my party friend? Have you got a party friend? Have you got a shopping friend where you go, oh my God, I need to go and buy new jeans. Can you come with me? Who's the shopping friend? So I think thinking about your life in all its compartments and having people, because when you have that, you are understood. So your shopping friend may not be the friend you go to the gym with. Some people have a BFF, a one friend forever, a ride or die. And that's cool. But I like to have little friends for different jobs. I like to have different roles and different friends. And I find that, of course, I've got some really beautiful friends who kind of do all of the above, But I think what's the vacancy you've got, and who understands you? Because when you're misunderstood, you will definitely feel lonely. And I have been in a room full of people and gone, fuck, I feel lonely. And I think it was Robin Williams. It was Robin Williams had a beautiful quote that said something about the worst thing in the world is being surrounded by people and feeling lonely. So people who don't understand you, I think that's a really interesting space. I've got a friend who has bipolar disorder, and has been really struggling for years with it and has recently made a friend with someone else who has bipolar disorder. And there's an instant understanding. And so there's this beautiful understanding where finally she's got someone that goes, oh my God, I do that all the time. Or, it's like when I talk to my friends who have ADHD and I'm like, oh, fuck, how we can't do this and that and that doesn't work. And oh my God, I had to play the putting away game because nothing's where it fucking should be. And, and they understand like, oh yeah, I do that all the time. And it just makes you feel normal. So whatever you are or whatever you do or whatever you have, this is where support groups come in. I remember when I got diagnosed with celiac disease and off I went to the Celiac Society because I'm a bit of a dick like that. I'm a bit of a nerd. Anyway, I liked it. I liked it because I got to have conversations. Like I remember, so Oscar was 5 and he was going to school and I was like, what do I put in a celiac child's lunchbox? I was so stressed. I thought everything was going to kill my kid. And so I needed to hang out with other celiac parents so that I could get that support and just be fucking understood. Because all my other friends they were beautiful friends, but they didn't understand what it was like to own a 5-year-old celiac. So I think that's interesting, isn't it? I think it's an interesting conversation. But we all need, I don't know anyone who doesn't need more people in their life. Most of us need more people, a different variety of people, not just more of the same. Think about that. Maybe you should go on a hunt for someone. If you were going to go hunting for someone who understood you, what would they be? Like maybe you used to have a really good friend who understood you and then they moved away or something and you miss that person. I had a friend who died 3 years ago and not that you can replace people, but I have a massive gap where Kerry left. Kerry was an extraordinary friend who lived for movies, lived for live entertainment, and just had the most interesting opinions. I'll never ever find another Kerry because I don't think there ever will be another one. But it's like, I just miss those conversations. I miss that person. I miss the arguing about, we used to argue about movies. I mean, that was a shit movie. He's like, I loved it. And I was like, oh my God. We used to argue, like we had really good argy-bargy kind of argy-bargy, good bantery conversations. And I really miss that. So think about that. That's my observation for the week. That loneliness comes from often, it's not from a lack of people. So some people have no people and they are technically lonely. Some of us have a lot of people and are still lonely. Misunderstood. I'd love to know, what is the person you're looking for in your life that would help understand you? Good thinking.